Zomboids are usually pretty easy to lose. You can simply run through a house or go through some forest and usually they'll stop following you. That changes here. In this scenario, I'm playing with a great mod titled the HIVEMIND. This mod makes zombies in a large area share their sight lines. If one of them sees me, they've all seen me, and they're already coming for me. Additionally, I'm starting in Louisville, which is the largest and most populated city. The only way I figured I could survive this would be by starting out in a building. You might recognize it from Rick's the Tricks Louisville Rooftop series. But that isn't to say that I made this challenge easy. In fact, I've turned off pretty much every single food spawn using the Zero Food Loot mod. Basically, the only food I can get are going to be cans that spawn on top of counters. Additionally, I've given myself a little bit more incentive to go out at night in the darkness. Zombies during the night are going to have poor sight, whereas during the day they'll have normal sight. So if I want to avoid getting spotted, I should go out when it's dark. Combining the hive mechanics with the food loot, it pretty much forces me to almost play a Louisville Rooftops type experience. Essentially forcing me to leave the safety of one house and go explore others, all in the hopes that there will be maybe one more can of corn on a countertop somewhere. For the first time, I think in my life, my character build actually isn't just about killing everything. Instead, I've gone with a lot of sneaking and light-footed. The best way to survive here is to just not get spotted. And not making noise and not being seen is a big part of that. As you can see here, no food spawns in these counters whatsoever. This house, for example, in a normal game would at least give you 10 cans of food. There's just way too much food in vanilla Zomboid to make this challenge actually hard. Additionally, every 10 days we'll get a Horde Night event. I just added this because it seemed fun. Especially considering that if a Horde Night zombie sees me, every zombie in the area is also going to see me. Even though by now we're only on day 3, I decided to already start preparing some things. I intended on living in the topmost floor, so I decided to block off one of the ways up with a fridge. I'm playing with a mod that increases the furniture health, just so that furniture barricades are slightly stronger. I also took curtains wherever I could. After all, the main danger here is zombies seeing me. I should mention that zombies are tough and have really high strength, at least during the day. At night they become slightly weaker, reverting to normal settings. Heading into the kitchen, I find 3 cans of food. You know things are pretty bad when 3 cans of food seems like a really good find. In another house, I find a fresh pot of stew. I definitely have enough food to survive for the time being, but I'm gonna be losing weight pretty much constantly. For the time being, I had enough food to just stay indoors and fortify and put sheets on every window. This was going to change eventually. It was better if I started grinding out carpentry and getting whatever planks I could from this building before it was too late. Around me I have a few buildings I could potentially go to, but honestly the best option is going to be the one to my right. The one to my left is way too large. Up to the north there's only small houses, and to the south I don't even know what's down there. They're all marked as residential in my map, so they should have some food on kitchen countertops. For the time being, however, I still hadn't looted everything in my building, so I kept going down each floor, checking every room I could. I figured it would be pretty smart to start sheeting up the windows in the hallways too. Zombies can look in there as well. Zombies are most likely to detect me on the lower floors when I walk past those windows, so I should be putting sheets on everything just in case. Even though I got a little scratch on my arm, I didn't feel like finding a new hoodie, so I just decided to patch it up. For the time being, I still didn't have a tailoring level 1 book, so I wasn't going to be putting patches on everything so I could use them later in order to gain a ton of XP. There were two main skill books I needed to find: carpentry and tailoring. I needed carpentry so that I could reach carpentry level 6 and build stairs. I figured the easiest way to get around the city would be to make bridges from building to building. I was going to need stairs to do this. I can't build floors out of windows, so the only way I could really build a bridge would probably be by starting off in some staircase here at the top floor and then extending it out to other buildings. I didn't yet have the carpentry books, but I kinda needed to set up escape ropes. They're pretty important in this run. I disassembled a couple of chairs just to get some nails so that I could start putting them up on the railings on the roof. Up to this point, most of the run was really just me walking around this building trying to find a carpentry handbook, or skill book. I actually have no idea how those things are called officially. While looking around, I found a crossbow, which is the perfect weapon for this stealth run. I found a single bag of chips on a table somewhere. In a normal run, it's just something nice to find. In this one, it's an essential to survive. Even after clearing out pretty much the entire floor, there was still nothing really of interest here. I could consider going outside at this point, but I knew that with this mod, once one zombie sees you, you're never getting away from them. I searched room after room after room and I still couldn't find anything of value. That's the problem with essentially being trapped in this place. I knew that I would have to leave sooner or later, preferably sooner. I would, however, return here for horde nights, as it's the easiest place to defend. My house didn't even have a door. I barely felt safe whatsoever in here, let alone out there. At last I had obtained the Carpentry 1 book. I pretty much spent an entire day reading it so that I could get the XP boost. Checking in on my food storage, it wasn't looking great. I didn't have any calorie-dense foods besides cereal. And in terms of cereal, I only had one box anyways. Now with the XP multiplier from the book, I started deconstructing apartments. I just went in and took out everything I could for the maximum amount of XP gains. If I ever do this challenge run again, I'll definitely consider using stronger and more dangerous zombies, but with poor eyesight and hearing. Getting these stealth kills without being detected feels pretty cool. Anyways, I set up some escape ropes to go down all the floors of the building here. Could come in handy in case I'm surrounded upstairs. Then I can just go down. Additionally, it also lets me get back up without having to go through the hallway. Let's say something like a horde night comes by and the halls happen to be full of zombies. At least they can't get up through here. At this point, most of my day was actually just going around and deconstructing things. I had reached the carpentry level high enough to build a door, so I decided to put one on my house. Just because it feels ever so slightly safer. As I rarely ever even use carpentry in Zomboid, at this point I still wasn't aware that you actually can't build through windows. So I smashed open this window, tried building a floor through it, and was thoroughly disappointed when I couldn't. While I was struggling with food, I had enough water stockpiled to last me a while. I hadn't found any water dispensers, so for the time being I was just filling up whatever bottles and flasks and bowls I could find. I spent a lot of time disassembling things. I went through pretty much every house in the apartment complex and broke down just about anything I could find whenever I could. Thankfully, I was checking trash cans because I ended up finding a free meal. A rat. At this point, I was mainly deconstructing things just to get nails until I could find the next book of carpentry. I didn't feel like going down to the ground floor because zombies could see me through the windows very easily there. And if one of them saw me, pretty much everyone would be following me instantly indoors. So I decided to graffiti a little warning so that I wouldn't go down there later on. Soon enough, I was at tailoring level 2 and decided to make myself a rifle sling. Despite the name, you can actually put other things on the rifle sling. Essentially, it just works as another back slot on your hotbar. So now I could keep my crossbow and the cricket bat on quick access. I'm not kidding when I say that I went through every single house in the apartment complex and deconstructed pretty much every piece of furniture I could. I was just grinding out XP to level 6 carpentry so that I could build those stairs. At this point I was running pretty low on food, so I had to hurry up. In total, I have about 2 hours straight of footage of me just deconstructing things. But finally I was at carpentry level 6 and I could start planning my escape to another building. Finally I had everything I needed to start building my staircase up. I made sure it wasn't directly next to the wall because I didn't actually have the tools to deconstruct the stairs, and I didn't want stairs connecting the bottom floor up here to the top. Otherwise, zombies could get up. My plan was to just go up there once, deconstruct one of the floors, and put an escape rope that leads into the room. That way I could climb up here whenever I needed. Looking over, I could see my target building. It actually seemed like I could just land on top of it easily if I were to bridge out from here. If you didn't know, you can actually remove floors without a sledgehammer by doing this. Simply place a wooden floor wherever you want to remove one and then deconstruct that wooden floor. I now had an easy way to get up to the roof. After quickly getting some more planks from downstairs, I built a second set of stairs. Because unfortunately you actually can't build through this weird fencing around the rooftop. Meaning that the only way to bridge out will be through another flight of stairs. I was finally close enough to just walk onto the roof, but I forgot that tiled roofs will kinda just let you fall through. A 3-story drop is enough to give me a fracture on my left thigh. The first thing I needed to do was to get a splint. I would have to improvise one from what I had around me. If you didn't know, a fractured leg in Zomboid is one of the worst injuries possible. Essentially, it makes me so slow that running away from zombies isn't even an option anymore. Now, considering it was nighttime, I originally tried to just risk it. I decided to go down to the street since my building was pretty close after all. If I could get back to my place, I would be safe. The problem would be going out into the street with the HIVEMIND. Before I knew it, a lot of zombies were already waiting for me. They had all seen me. All it takes is one zombie sighting you for the entire city to know where you are. You might be wondering where they are since you can't actually see them below me. And that's exactly why I was worried when I saw them walking towards me. The fact that they weren't grouping up in the street meant that they were already getting inside the building. If they started going up floors, I was certainly doomed. To make matters worse, it had pretty much been a week now. The helicopter event having passed maybe 1 or 2 days ago, which meant it was almost day 10. The first horde night. Stepping out into the dark corridor, I could only pray that I wasn't spotted. At this point, there's a ton of zombies in the bottom floor, meaning that if I get detected, they're probably all coming up to see me. Looking out into the street, you could see them all shambling around, probably looking for me. I eventually found a good balcony which I could use to build a staircase back up to the roof. I was going to need 2 sets of stairs, but there should be enough furniture to disassemble in here. I started disassembling the first apartment. There was a lot of good furniture here. Chairs, tables, and even a lot of containers. Hopefully this would be enough to make 1 staircase. Thankfully I had enough to build the first one. I was going to need another staircase to get up even higher. As you can see, from this floor to the actual roof, it's a 2-story drop, which is why it broke my leg instead of just dealing damage. After going back and disassembling another entire apartment, I finally managed to build a second staircase. I was now back on the roof, but this time I was careful enough to not walk off. The last part was now getting enough planks to bridge from one side of the roof back to my old bridge, and then I could get back into my house. Since I had destroyed everything in the 4 rooms of the first floor, I had to go down 1. Knowing how many zombies could be at the bottom floor right now made this extremely unsettling. I wake up on day 10. Day 10 means Horde Night. You can see the Horde indicator symbol on the top of my screen. This means that at 10 p.m. they were gonna start coming for me. If I wasn't back in my base by then, I was pretty much certainly going to die. As I got back onto my original bridge, I made sure to deconstruct the ground before me, just so that they couldn't climb up to get me from there. I made it back, but I was very weak, with a fractured leg and scratches on my arms. I was going to have to put up an immense fight if I wanted to survive this Horde Night. So I prepared myself for the fight and... Oh, who am I kidding? I just cheesed it. I deconstructed some floors at the top of this staircase so that they couldn't reach me.